Hi everyone, good morning. So today I'm going to tell you about the adverb clause and how we can identify that and how we can create that and what is the structure and the clues that you can use to identify the adverb clause. But before that, let's go through a quick notes about the clause itself. So all of you will not forget about that. All right, so clause and complex sentence. So clause is the something, but it has the structure of a sentence. It means that it has a subject and a verb, like a sentence. However, a clause is a part of a complex sentence, which means it can be an independent clause or a dependent clause, depend on its function. Like this example, that man laughed before he wanted to cry. So here we have the independent clause and the dependent clause. The independent clause is the clause that happens by itself. It has complete meaning. Meanwhile, the other one is the dependent clause. Dependent clause begin with dependent word. So it means that it cannot stand by itself, but it needs the help of the independent clause to make a complete meaning. This is the explanation. Independent clause has a complete meaning, so it does not need dependent clause to function as a sentence. So the sentence can stand by itself. Even when we remove the dependent clause, the independent clause can still function correctly. It is different in dependent clause. If we remove the independent clause, the dependent clause cannot function as a complete sentence. So dependent clause needs independent clause. All right. And what is an adverb clause? Adverb clause is a dependent clause of a complex sentence. However, it has different function. Previously we have talked about noun clause and adjective clause. If noun clause function as a noun and adjective clause function as an adjective, adverb clause function as an adverb. It means that this dependent clause explain what happened to the verb. Because that's the function of an adverb, to explain the verb. And then there are two ways to identify adverb clause. First, we can see its dependent word. An adverb clause will always begin with after, before, when, because, if, whether, although, and many more. That's the usual word, the usual dependent word that begins the adverb clause. And then the second way to identify it, that adverb clause is always located after or before the independent clause. So let's say here. So here is the structure of an adverb clause. Or we can say that this is the structure of a complex sentence that has an adverb clause. The white part is the independent clause and the gray part is the dependent clause. This dependent clause is an adverb clause because it explains when the man left. Here is, if we read it, it will be like the man left. But when the man left as soon as he finished with his business. So this dependent clause, as soon as he finished, explain about the left. Explains about what man does, what man did here in this sentence. And it is also the easiest dependent clause to understand, because it is simple. It is like we have two independent clauses, or we have two sentences, and we combine it using a dependent words. If we recall the noun clause and adjective clause, the structure is quite complicated. But in this adverb clause, the structure is simple. Yeah. It is like we have two simple sentences and we combine it using a dependent word. Okay. And then if the adverb clause is located after the independent clause, we don't need to use comma here. So it's clean. Yeah. There is no punctuation here. There is no comma. There is no full stop here. It's just going through. The man left as soon as he finished with his business. Full stop. That's it. However, the case will be different if the adverb clause or the dependent clause here is in front. Let's see. Now, this is the structure if the dependent clause or the adverb clause is in front of the dependent clause. Let's see. This gray part is the dependent clause. This white part is the independent clause. Okay, and this dependent clause explain when we begin our day. Yeah. And because the adverb clause is in front, we need to use comma at the end of the adverb clause, like this. Yeah. When the sun rises, comma, we begin our day. Yeah. So you can see the difference here. All right. Now, this is the function of the adverb clause in a complex sentence. Yeah. Mainly, there are 4 functions to express time, cause and effect, contrast, and condition. Yeah. In here, there are several examples, and the one with the adverb clause is the brown one. Yeah, you can see here. Okay, like the first one, yeah, expressing time. Yeah, I will always wait for you until you come back to this town. Yeah. This clause, until you come back to this town, is an adverb clause because it explains the verb wait. Ya. Jadi dia di sini menjelaskan sampai kapan dia akan menunggu, sampai kamu kembali ke kota ini. And then the other function is to express cause and effect. Yeah. The adverb clause that begins that is used to explain the cause and effects usually begin with the words because. Yeah, like this one. She is crying. Yeah. Because blah blah blah. Yeah. The independent clause usually the effect. Yeah. And the dependent clause is the cause. Yeah. And then we also use the adverb clause to express contrast. Yeah. Okay, to contrast two things. Yeah. So like we have 2 simple sentences, but the first one contrasts with the other one. So we add dependent words like although, even though. Yeah. And then the other one, we also use the adverb clause to express condition. Yeah, like this one. The adverb clause that express condition begins with the words like if, unless, yeah, whether, yeah, and many more. Yeah, you can find it. Okay. And for the more detailed information about this, you can read and you can see the pages 359 and 300 until 373. Yeah. There are many exercise and explanation about this. Yeah. How you can use adverb clause. All right. Okay, I think that's all my explanation for this morning. I hope you enjoy it and you can get the gist of it. And later, please participate in the discussion forum and yeah, prepare for your final test as well. All right, thank you very much and see you when I see you.